everybody. This is Denise Pimentel from Unshaken Voices. Here again with episode 5. Today I have a special guest. We have Nanette with us. She is an author. She wrote the book, The Tin Man's Wife. I'm going to read a little description about the book and her. So, the book is a deeply personal novel inspired by her life, the author's life. Even though names have been changed for privacy, it's still her story. At its core, it's both a love story and a survival story. It traces the journey of a young girl growing up in Brooklyn who at 16 falls in love with the boy who would become her lifelong partner. Their relationship is woven through music, culture, faith, and family, beginning with orchestra rehearsals and subway rides, and eventually maturing into decades of marriage. But the book does not stay in this nostalgia. It moves into devastating territory. Sudden cardiac collapse, end-stage heart failure, an ECMO or ECMO, a heart assistant device, life support, and the fragile space between life and death. The story also reaches further back into her adolescence, exploring profound trauma, the loss of her mother, family instability, domestic violence, betrayal, and the emotional fractures that shaped her adulthood. Throughout the novel, breath becomes a recurring symbol. Musical breath, romantic breath, mechanical breath, and the fight to keep a heartbeat alive. The narrative explores covenant love under pressure, faith that is not polished but wrestled with, and the resilience forged through generational survival. Ultimately, this is not just a medical novel, it's a story about destiny tested by suffering, about speaking life when death feels louder, and about what it means to remain unshaken when everything around you has shaken. Let me bring her on. Hi, Nanette, and welcome to Unshaken Voices. How are
Denise.
you?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so happy you could be here and share your story because I know that your story is going to be heard by someone who needs to hear it today. And I'm so happy that you were, willing to come on and be that for someone else.
I'm very grateful that I'm here today. I hope it will help somebody.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Nanette.
Well, I am a retired Christian school teacher. Where I taught in Staten Island for many years, second grade and kindergarten, and enjoyed that immensely and missed that part of my life. But we're here in Pennsylvania now for 21 years in a semi-rural area that we enjoy immensely, and just enjoying retired life and looking forward to travel and hopefully getting a new puppy soon.
Nice, beautiful. I love dogs.
I do
Great.
too.
Yes, they're
And you'll read a
blessings.
lot about dogs in The Tin Man's Wife.
Yes, you will, and that's great. A lot of people love hearing about dogs, especially your breed. I find that the breed that you like is a very, very welcomed breed, and a lot of people have that type of
Hmm.
dog. So that's great. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit today about your book because I truly believe that your story is going to help someone else who may be going through something similar. Maybe they're in the beginning of this journey or have been through it. but it's really going to resonate, I believe, with many people. And that's why I wanted to share it with the world. So I wanted to start with the first question I had for you is when you decided to write this novel as having it inspired by your real life, what felt most vulnerable, to put on paper for you?
Well, as you'll read about the main character, Delia Romero, she suffers from a terrible case of stage fright in
Mm,
her life.
right,
She's the poster child for stage fright. And that's pretty real to life for me.
right,
So I still suffer with anxiety from time to time, and it goes from just little butterflies to sometimes full blown. There's horses galloping in my chest, so to speak.
right,
And so, what felt most vulnerable was for me to actually commit to writing the story was that, oh my gosh, I am putting myself out there.
right,
It may not be, as Delia in the story plays the oboe in high school, and she is a soloist and so on and so forth. And she gets quite nervous when she has to play. The same is true for me in the sense anytime I am putting myself out there and making myself vulnerable, it's frightening.
right.
It's scary. As you well know, I'm a little bit have the jitters right now.
Yes,
So that's one answer. The other part about being vulnerable is in the story, it tells a little bit about family dysfunction,
right,
and the way I was raised, as most people in my generation, we were taught you don't air your dirty laundry in public.
right,
You just don't do that. So I had to make a decision. Am I going to leave this part out of my story
right,
and just forget about it? Or do I expose it? Do I talk about it in the hopes that someone out there, one of my readers, will say, oh, I can identify with this, and wow, this really helps me to hear it spoken about in this light. And I had to make that decision, and I did. And so that was the most vulnerable. That
okay.
put me in that spot, and I did it.
Okay, great. Yeah, I totally understand because when I was writing my book, also, there were
Yes,
some times when I was like, is it okay for me to do this?
yes, you.
Um, and I just left names out because names aren't relevant because my book does tell the true story. I didn't change the names, but the vulnerability of knowing and trying to decide, do I keep this? Do I not keep it?
Hmm.
But then you think about who this can help and how you decide to keep it because someone may hear that and feel like they're not alone and they can
Correct.
feel, your story can welcome their feelings and
Hmm.
it can resonate with them. So
Yes.
I do agree with how that can be a vulnerable moment. Um, okay, the next question. Was there a moment when you knew this story was bigger than just your family, that it needed to be shared? So that goes a little bit along the lines with that one.
I can tell you the exact moment when I knew it
Okay,
needed to be shared.
please do.
And to name the medical event that that when that happened, it was August of 2014. I was going to name the event, but it would be a spoiler alert, so I'll
Okay.
leave that out. Needless to say, I was sitting next to my husband's hospital bed,
Right.
and I 100%, million percent heard the voice of the Lord speak into my spirit's ear, into my
Okay.
heart of hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me, first he said, you need to tell this story
Right.
and you'll write a book. And I was taken aback by that statement. And before I could even blink a second time, he dropped the name of this novel
Amazing.
right in my lap like a gift,
Amazing.
The
Yes.
Tin Man's Wife. And it clicked so profoundly because, as everybody knows, what if whoever if you never saw the Wizard of Oz, then you
Right.
wouldn't get it. What the Tin Man wanted most of all,
Right.
and we won't say another word after that. But
Right.
and I'm the life, so
Yeah. Right.
it's written through my eyes and told through my voice, but it's not just my story. It's my husband Richie's as well, of course, as well as the children's,
Yes.
and even the dog at one point.
Yes.
And my husband, again, I don't want to give a spoiler out there, but my husband had a bona fide miracle happen in 2012, which the story is based on.
Right.
And this miracle is documented with the hospital, with the doctors, and he survived something that I don't think I did a Google search on it, in
Right.
fact, for the amount of time. And as far as I know, it's unprecedented. There are no other cases.
Right.
And so that's when, to answer your question, this story is huge.
It
There
is.
are there are incidents of people surviving even lesser time periods,
Right.
and they've made movies about it.
Yes.
And here Richie is like he's walking around and drives a car and does everything anybody else can do, and it is a miracle.
It is. It
So
is.
yeah,
And
it
it's
had to
a
be told. It had to be told. Most important of all, to give glory to God, who enabled my husband to be here
yes.
with me.
The miracle
So
worker.
yes, he gets all the glory for it.
Yes, and
Absolutely.
I'm so glad. The book was amazing, by the way. I did read the book. I didn't want to do this podcast episode until I read it so that I can stand here and back your book. And I hope that many people will purchase it and listen to your story.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's see. Next question. So, how did changing the names in the story protect you?
Well, since it's written, since I would say the not all, but the lion's share of the story
Mm-hmm.
involves medical events and a hospitalization,
Right.
and there are doctors involved.
Yes.
I think it just was safe to say, common sense ruled the day with that.
Right. Yeah.
Just change the names. Like
Yes.
we don't
Agreed.
want any legal liability going on for
Right.
me, and if I had left everything the way let you know, it wasn't a memoir. I wasn't. I
Right.
did not. I was not called to write a memoir. I was called to write a novel,
Right.
and to change it to make it a fiction format.
Right.
So I just went with changing the names
Yeah.
for all those reasons, and I even created a make believe town in upstate New York just for fun,
Yeah.
and just went with that to enjoy the writing experience
Right.
in addition to everything I mentioned before.
Great. Yeah, no, I agree with you. because I was doing the memoir and it was shorter, um, I, went that direction, but I would love to write a novel someday, about something else. Right
I'm
now I'm
sure you
working on
will.
right now I'm working on a devotional because I just thought that was a good next step. But then after that, I'm hoping to write a novel someday.
In
And
fact, now I'm
go ahead.
devoting my time to writing an actual memoir,
Oh,
but
great.
but it will only be for my grandchildren, for
Okay.
posterity's sake,
Okay.
and be filled with anecdotal stories
Oh, they'll love that. That's a great
of
thing
the
to
way I
pass
grew
on.
up and the family
Yeah.
members, and it's not going to be for the public.
Okay. That's fine. That is amazing. I have some poetry books published that I only wrote for my husband. So,
Yeah,
that's if people buy it, whatever. I don't think they would ever because it's
you never
strictly
know.
for him. I know, I guess,
You never know.
but we'll see. Okay. So I want to talk about your amazing love story. Okay.
Ah,
So you take us from your 16-year-old self, 16-year-old Dahlia, falling in love with an orchestra in an orchestra room. And then you tell us over time, you become a wife who's standing over a hospital bed, speaking life to your husband. So, when did you realize that young love had now become covenant love?
when the first devastating moment of my life happened,
Okay.
and then during the second, uh, and my husband, or my boyfriend at the time, who is my husband today, Richie,
Right.
was there and supported me. It's not a spoiler to me. When my I lost my mother right after my 18th birthday,
Right.
but she became sick with pancreatic cancer around age when I was 15, and she
Okay.
passed away at 46 years old, very very young.
Wow.
And I did not know she was dying at the time. They
Okay.
they kept that from me to protect me out
Mhm.
of great love. My parents were phenomenal, wonderful parents who
Right.
were just a walking love story in and of themselves. It was a
Right.
complete honor and joy to be raised by these two amazing individuals and to see love modeled before me every day of my life. Tangible love that was, you know, just transcends everything uh, in this life.
Right.
And but when my when the whole floor of my life, my young life, just opened up from under me, and I just was free falling in an abyss of despair and depression and horror.
Right.
To lose my best friend was my mom. Uh, Richie was there.
Okay.
Richie caught me.
Thank God. Yeah.
Uh, and even though we weren't married,
Mhm.
even my mom knew that we would marry one day. She even expressed to me many times, and I think I I don't think I know that she knew she would not be there for me when
Right.
that day would come. And I think I told you this, that she went and purchased my china and pots and pans,
Yes.
even though I
Yes.
was only 18 or at the
Right.
time. She went and did these things in preparation for me to become a young bride. That
Right.
I mean, I could choke up just thinking about, that she made sure,
Right.
and yeah,
She sounded like a great mom
she was an
because for her to
amazing mother.
think ahead like that and just make sure you had the things that she wanted you to have because she wasn't going to be here.
you know.
That's
And
special.
so she, even like I was saying, even though I wasn't married and it wasn't, we weren't in covenant,
Right.
so to speak, yet, that that bond between my husband, my boyfriend, at the time, I knew, I knew, this was it.
Yeah,
We
you
would
knew he
we would
was the
marry
one.
one day,
Yeah.
and that's what covenant. It still looks like that to me.
Right.
That you're there for one another. You
Right.
catch one another. You catch one another when you fall.
Right. Yes.
And
And no,
go
that's
ahead.
okay. And the next question kind of ties into this. It says, "What does covenant really mean to you now after everything you endured?" So that
So
kind of mixes
covenant
in there.
covenant is another word for contract.
Mm-hmm.
It's you enter into a contract that is irrevocable with very few caveats in there if there's you know you stay committed no
Right.
matter what to one another, and the Bible talks about that you become one flesh,
Right.
and that doesn't just mean the obvious. It means you're so I'm going like this with my fingers because I can't help it. You're so ingrained and interwoven. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the Lord holds the needle and thread, and He just
Yep.
weaves you and sews you together. That
Right.
you it's very hard to, and if there is a
Yeah.
breaking, you're just ripped.
Right.
So
There's a Bible verse. Let no what the Lord
let
brings together, no man
let
can
no
pull.
man put asunder.
Yeah.
So for covenant for me means you're in for the long haul.
Right.
No matter if I drive him crazy, he drives me crazy, or worse than that, you still have to you stay.
Right.
You stay no matter what.
Right.
And we're not talking about if there's harm, or we're not
Right.
talking about
Yeah.
marriages like that. I'm talking
Right.
about
Vows.
For me and
Yeah.
Richie.
Sickness
And we
and
just
health. Yeah.
celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary this past
Congrats.
November.
Great.
And we were boyfriend and girlfriend for 5 years before that, so it's 55 years and 3 months
Great.
that we're together. So
Nice.
that's a lot of experience to speak from.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Amazing. Okay, did you ever have to relearn how to love your husband during the different seasons of illness?
Yes, yes, and that
Ah,
goes both ways.
right,
Yes, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just
marriage.
that's marriage. That's life.
Right,
None of us stays the same.
right,
There are things that change us, whether it's from the outside or from the inside. Meaning, we could choose to do change ourselves. For example, go, I don't know, like go gung ho, radical health change with our diet and
yes,
our self image, and
mm-hmm,
we work on that, or things from the outside where we, God forbid, we get sick,
right,
and get so severely ill that we can't take care of ourselves and we need the help of our spouse. And now we're different
right,
physically, we're different mentally because we've gone through a trauma.
right,
Uh, we're different on lots of things can change us, and every day we're met with a choice. Do we do we still want to be committed? Do we still want to go on this ride
right,
with our spouse? And every day you know
yeah.
you get up and say yes,
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I can relate to that because after I had my stroke, I
Yeah.
mean, Ryan, my husband and I were always very close. But when y- you're met with life and death, and there's a chance that you can lose your spouse, you hit a different level, I think, after you go through something like that, where I didn't even think we could ever become closer or more, like you were saying, intertwined and bonded. But that really took our relationship to an even higher level that I didn't know was possible.
And that's
So,
where I believe, and I'm sure you'll agree, our stories are similar,
yes.
where we both had life and death
Yes. Mm-hmm.
events.
Yes.
Again, I don't want to give a spoiler to yours or
Right.
spoiler to mine, but
Right.
they were both very, people, let me tell you,
Yes.
they're both very intense. Like,
Yeah.
God forbid,
Yeah.
any of these things would happen to anybody, but
Right. Yeah.
we both survived, the two of
Yes.
us, the
Yes.
four of us, we all
Yes.
survived.
That's
And
right.
that's the takeaway from this, is that if if we could survive, you could survive.
Right. 100%. So, anybody listening, and I was wondering, are you okay with people reaching out to you, maybe who are
Absolutely.
going through this? Okay. I
Absolutely.
okay. And what is
Yeah.
the best way to contact you? For them, like, should they go to TikTok? Should they go,
I'm on TikTok.
Facebook? Where
I'm
are
on
the
TikTok. I'm
platforms?
on the Tin Man's Wife is on Facebook. Tin Man's
Okay.
Wife, in the back of the book are the ways that they can get in touch with me.
Okay.
Uh,
Here's the
yeah,
back.
Tin Man's Wife 1210 is the handle on TikTok.
Okay.
At the back of the
All right.
book.
Okay.
Absolutely, I welcome anybody,
Yes. Where is it?
especially if there are uh, people facing cardiac issues with, um, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
back there, that involve life assist devices, and
Yes. It's a
that
scary
that
thing. So,
transplantation issues, things like that.
right. Okay. Great. It's good to know that that you're fine with them
Oh yeah,
reaching out to you. Great.
absolutely, no problem.
Okay, so now I want to dive into the trauma and family history. So you said you lost your mom at 18. Horrific. I'm sorry you
Hmm.
had to go through that. And then you
Thank you.
experienced violence in your
Mm.
own home. So, how did those early fractures that you went through shape the woman who was later standing in that ICU room with your husband?
What I went through as a teenager, uh, as my mom got sick and was hospitalized, and I experienced violence against my person while my mother was in the hospital, while my father was busy with that. I was attacked violently,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in the book. I don't think it's a spoiler alert. It's not. That's not the main
Right,
plot. So I was beaten to a pulp.
right.
My face unrecognizable. My eyes black and blue, like I look like Rocky. I look like I
Wow,
came out of a meat locker,
wow,
and kicked so severely it damaged my back to this day, by a family member, no less. And yeah, that incident created, one good thing was that, once again, my husband, my then boyfriend,
mm-hmm.
I was 17, we were 17 when that happened.
Okay,
He rode in on his white charger and saved me.
wow.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, that's part B to the earlier question where you I forgot the question, but yeah, that
It
was
was
part
just
B.
about, how did that shape you into
Yeah.
the woman standing in the
No, I yeah.
ICU? Yeah.
So the fear that created
Right.
became the monster that I had to um, learn how to conquer
Right.
with the Lord's help.
Right.
So how does that tie in to the story? Is that I was inundated by fear.
Right.
The Tin Man's wife is all about. I think is so much about fear. It starts off with the this teenage girl who is gifted and talented enough to make the most prestigious school in New York
Right.
City, School of
Amazing.
Performing Arts.
Right.
Uh,
And that's
you know,
true, right? That part
yeah,
is true.
I was.
Yeah.
She's an oboist. She started out in the uh, Brooklyn Youth Orchestra. Tries out for performing arts, gets in, and it's a paradox because she's so scared. She plays so well. She's so gifted, but yet when it comes time for her to have a play a solo, she has to deal with the physical uh, plague of these symptoms that she has to battle.
Right.
So it just that fear just got transferred from the teenage girl playing in an orchestra to then gets magnified by the beating that she's thrown, and then living with that person, always looking over her shoulder, living with
Right.
that nightmare. And then when she later on in life, when her husband gets sick, and she's literally living in a hospital room, sleeping on a recliner next to his bed,
Right.
and every day there's a new problem, and every day the doctors are saying something else. The fear was just so crippling and just so overwhelming. Um, yeah,
And now you have this amazing, like, strength. It has to build this strength in you after you go through something like that.
it does, and it's still. I I also but still want to stress that faith is not a magic wand
Right.
where you say a prayer, you believe in God, and I'm not downplaying that at all. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
woman of faith.
Right.
I trust in
Mm-hmm.
the Lord Jesus Christ for my salvation and my walk every day, and but just because we believe, and just because we have this amazing God that we can run to and holds us
Right.
up, it doesn't mean he waves a magic wand and
Right.
everything you feel immediately better. Or even though he did give my husband a bona fide miracle, he did not just run right out of the hospital. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
It's it's like the story of Daniel in the lion's den.
Mm-hmm.
That man was thrown into a deep pit with these lions that were actually starved for I don't know how many days, just so that
Right.
they would make sure that Daniel got eaten. But
Right.
surprise, he God sent an angel to shut the mouths of
Right.
the lion, and Daniel was delivered in the end. And in the it I'm sure he felt terror in that
Right.
pit amongst the lions, even though I don't know, the Bible never says if he actually saw the angel or not.
Right.
You know, it's not, faith is not a fairy tale.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. I had to lean on my faith
yeah,
throughout my
you
life
did.
too. And You're right. It isn't just abracadabra. Here you go.
Yep.
Everything's better now.
Yep.
It takes, time, therapy. For me, I had to do a lot of, after the stroke, a lot of therapies, physical therapy,
Mm-hmm.
um, and cognitive therapy was the longest because the damage in my brain, there's like a hole there now. But what they told me is that the part of your brain surrounding the hole works harder to try. It's amazing, God's creation. It
Mm-hmm.
actually fights harder to make up for the empty space. Although my husband would probably make a joke and say, something
You
about
opened
that.
yourself right up there, Denise.
But he's a big
No.
jokester. Um, so anyway, so Nanette, do you believe that unresolved childhood grief can amplify the adult crises that we go through?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Because unless somebody hit you over the head and you have amnesia, you know, the you don't forget what
Right. You
happened.
forgive,
and
but
and
you don't forget.
there was a book by written by I don't remember the name of the psychiatrist psychologist at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It escapes me, but the book is called "The Body Keeps a Score,"
Okay.
and it's true.
Okay.
We have memory cells, we have muscle memory, uh, and you could just you could just be in a certain place and it has smells or sounds, and and all those bad memories can flood right in. You don't have any control over that.
Right. None.
You don't have control over like there's a saying that we can't control the birds that fly over our head.
Right.
These intrusive thoughts, these bad memories, but we do have the power to not let them make a nest.
Right.
We do have the power not to let them roost, and that's where our faith comes in. So to answer your question, the bad things that happened to me as a child, yeah, the enemy would love nothing better than to broadcast that and go,
Right.
oh, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
this is not like that. So,
Right.
go back to being terrorized, and it's a battle.
It is.
But that's where we draw our sword. That's where we go back to the word of God
Yes.
and take the sword and fight our enemy
Right.
and do battle. And guess who wins? Spoiler
Yes.
alert. We
Yes.
do. You know.
Right. Um Excellent. Okay, so when Richie, your husband's life was hanging in the balance, did that like kind of spin you back to reopen the trauma of losing your mother at 18?
Yes.
Yeah. I d-
Yes. 100%. Because the biggest fear, um, let's put it this way, as a young child and teenager, because I only had her. She died when I was the month after I turned 18, but I felt like I kind of really lost her when she got sick, because after for the two or so years after she became sick, she really wasn't.
right.
She she
She wasn't
I don't want to say
herself.
she wasn't my mother. She was too sick,
Right. She
and
wasn't
she was in
herself.
and out of
Yeah.
the hospital too frequently.
Right.
So so I had lost the most important person in my life.
Right.
That was then. So then Richie became, and still is, the most important person in my life.
Right.
So when he got so deathly ill, now I'm facing the threat of widowhood. And oh my gosh, that was,
Right. Traumatic.
I'm not going to lie, that was, and still potentially is, and I say potentially, uh, my greatest fear is I don't want to be a widow.
Right.
It's too terrifying to me. I've gotten better. I have to say, I've gotten a lot better. But the book took takes place in 2012.
Okay.
So that's 14 years ago. So back then and before that, it absolutely was terrifying.
Right.
Like
I can
the
only
worst
imagine.
fear imaginable. So yeah, my mother's death absolutely it just transferred from
Okay.
being, instead of losing her, now I was losing my husband and my best friend and my whole world.
Right. That is scary, I'm sure. And my husband can relate to that. I mean, he talks about like the moment in when I was in the ER and they're like, "Oh, well, you should take this shot to clear the blood clot." But and to me, I know
There
people
was a
are
lot of
probably like,
risk.
there's a percentage, it was 7% chance that that shot could kill you.
Hmm.
So, even though there's a big difference between 107, we were both still really scared to
Of
take
course,
that
you're
shot
human.
because they say that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, and that's when I had that moment. And I'm sure there were moments where your decision making, you just kind of talk to God and you give it to Him and you do what you think is in your gut that is right. It's tough to be in that position, and
The book
thankfully, go ahead.
the
Go ahead, the
book
book.
is the book is filled with moments like that. It wasn't There were many times I was I go like this because I remember the time when it's in the book. They flung the
Yes,
papers across a
I
conference
remember
table
that.
at
Yeah.
me.
Right. Yep.
I'll never forget. That will stay with me forever.
Yeah.
Where many, it's either, sign this, and they list the risks.
Right.
Number one risk, he could die. He could die. He
Right.
could die. If I had a nickel for every time I heard he could die, I would
Right.
forget it. I'd
Yeah.
be I'd
That's
be very, very wealthy. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh
It's
boy.
scary, but I it changes you. It makes you stronger. You there's a whole like next level of tenacity that you develop, this
Right.
tenacious,
Right.
aggressive in a good way, you know just fight to for your family and your loved one, and that 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 these situations make you
Right.
develop. It's incredible. And
Yes.
to think, I'm ruining it now for anybody who wants to read this book. Like the story arc is this pathetically scary, this pathetically terrified little girl
Right.
playing her oboe in an orchestra, so scared, like, to this grown woman that
Right.
should, it but how she conquers and
Overcomes.
deals with
Yeah.
fear.
Right. You overcame it and you're still standing. And Richie's still here. And that's amazing.
Praise God.
Praise God is right. Um, so, how did you avoid becoming bitter toward certain family members who had failed to protect you?
Who said I what? Say that again.
How did you avoid becoming bitter?
Oh, avoid. I was I was bitter. I'm not gonna lie. I
Right,
definitely was bitter in the beginning. But uh, you know, God deals with you, His Holy Spirit deals with you, and anybody who who may be listening to you who is not a believer, I'm sure has
Right.
heard of the prayer, the Our Father, and
Yes.
it talks about forgiving those who hurt
Hurt
you.
us. Yes.
Forgive us our debts as though
As we forgive those
forgive
who.
though
Yeah.
you have to forgive. If you want your sins forgiven, you you need to forgive those who have hurt you. And I had to go through that. To say I was not bitter would be a lie. I was absolutely bitter,
Right.
and it was a learning process. And I thank God that's in the rearview mirror
Yes. Good.
through God's grace,
Yes. It's not easy. Not
by His
easy, but
grace.
yes.
No, especially when it's a it's a it's a family member who beats the living tar out of you. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Okay, so now I'm going to move into some questions about the medical crisis and your faith. So, what does it mean to speak life to someone when an oxygen mask, well, is helping them breathe? So, right, you said he had an oxygen
Well,
mask.
the it was
Well,
doing very little to help him breathe, but it was doing the job. Um, looking. I'm afraid I might say
too
something that
much.
will ruin
Okay,
the
so
but
don't.
as far as speaking, I do want to touch on the speaking life bit,
Okay, go ahead.
because
Focus in on that.
this when I got to the hospital, I was called to the hospital because my husband had coded,
Right.
and I don't think that's a spoiler alert.
No.
I don't. And he was dead.
Yeah.
He was gone. He
Right.
the heart monitor was flatlined. He was blue. He was grayish blue. He was ice cold.
Ooh,
He
you just
wasn't
gave me chills.
breathing. His tongue was hanging out like a dog in the heat of August. It was a sight I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy.
Right.
It was just horrific. And it, you know, I, I'm now, you might lose some of your audience with what I'm about to say.
Okay.
I heard, not audibly, I heard in my heart the Lord speak and say to me, speak life to him,
Okay.
speak life. And I had to make a decision whether to obey or disobey,
Right.
because this thought, the first thing you think when you hear God,
Mm-hmm.
am I crazy? Is this really God? Is this myself? Is this the devil? Is this Aunt Matilda calling from the other, like, I knew it was the Lord because I've been
Right.
was walking with the Lord over 40 years at the time, and I knew it was God. So
Right.
that's a given.
Right.
And it's I had to do it. I
Right.
just had to do it, and it was not even loud enough to be a whisper,
Right.
but I said it as an act of faith. God honored it.
Mm-hmm.
God honored that completely.
Right.
But can you go back to the question? I want to make
Yeah.
sure I hit all the
Yeah, it
points of
says,
it.
what does it
What
mean
does it
to
mean?
speak life
Okay.
when he's got this oxygen mask on? And, what does that mean?
And they were
And it's
working on
exactly
him.
what you said,
They were working on him, taking turns doing CPR, and it means it means you take a leap of faith.
Right.
I took a leap of faith,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in my heart. I was praying desperately, Lord. You promised all. I could name the in my head and tick it off all the laundry list of promises he had made for our latter years in life. And here we were still in our 50s, still
Right.
very young
Yes.
by, you know, it just, it was a leap of faith.
Right.
And
No, I agree.
I don't want to fill in
It
the
was a
blanks because it'll
miracle. It was
spoil
a
it, but
miracle.
Denise
Right.
already said my husband's still here. So,
Yeah. Oh, okay. So how
but
do you
how he got here, that's
Yes.
why you need to read the
The
book.
journey is the most important part of that because that's what people know they need help getting through that
Mm.
journey for sure. Um, so how do you reconcile like miracle language when you're in this prolonged suffering happening? So you pray, you are talking to God, but day in and day out you're experiencing now this is happening, now that is happening. How do you like instead of reconcile, how do you keep going?
Well, look at the alternative.
Mm,
I could have just not chosen to get out of bed that morning, let's say.
right. Right.
And what
Yeah.
good would that do?
Right.
And that's not love.
No.
Love to me, what would, if God forbid it was me in that bed, what would I
Mm,
want Richie to do for me?
right.
So I just did that. I did what I
Yeah.
needed. I did what I knew I needed to do
Right.
to bring blessing to my husband.
Yes.
Because even though he was in a coma, I believed I somehow believed he could still sense that I was there or not there,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to be there.
Of course. Yes.
And I was there as I was there sometimes 18 hours a day.
Wow.
Some days some days I never left.
Right.
There were weeks that I just slept in that recliner.
Right.
And at one point, I would just stand and pray over him silently or play music or one day I remember, and it's in the book. One day I counted his eyelashes. I literally counted his
Right.
eyelashes on one eye. And
Yeah.
like you do some crazy things, but
It's
it
trauma. Yeah.
I knew he still is, he's everything to me. He's my
Right.
whole life.
Right.
And there was no other place I wanted to be but to be
Right.
right next to him.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I would be afraid to walk away just in case. I would want to be there. If it was my husband, I totally understand that. So, so I had this question. It says, "What did faith look like at 2 a.m. when fear was speaking louder than prayer?" So that kind of ties into what we were just talking about. And I picked 2 a.m. because that tends to be a time when people who are going through anxiety or depression or trauma, you can't sleep. So 2
Oh, I know.
a.m. 2 a.m. is you're looking at the ceiling like, please, Lord, let me sleep. So, how can you answer that question?
Repeat it again, honey?
What did your faith look
What did
like
faith
at
look
2
like?
a.m. when fear is speaking louder to your mind than the prayers that you're saying?
Okay. I I really feel to say, first of all, that I was not this holy roller type of individual that, was like this robot of faith that, oh, I must not cry and I must not, because that's a sign of weakness, or I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be in faith if I did that. I wouldn't
Right.
be in faith if I started to feel like I was going to throw up.
Right.
I'm not in faith if I said I'm not sure if he's going to make it or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I spoke in any way negatively as to how I felt in the moment,
Right.
That's nonsense.
Right. Agreed.
I, you know, Peter was afraid when he
Mm-hmm.
walked on the water, but
Right.
he walked on the water. Okay. I don't care if it was, a half a second.
Right.
That's better than any of us,
Yeah.
like the thing is, we do it afraid.
Right.
What did it look like at 2 a.m.? I had nightmares. I cried. I vomited. I called one of my children at 3. Like I lost I lost it plenty of times.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not
Right.
going to say, "Oh, I had it all to." Heck no.
No.
I lost my, you know what, a million times
Right.
over. But, but in the end, I got up and still chose to believe. And still, even though it looked the total opposite, God said, speak life, and everything, and I mean everything around me in that room looked like death
Wow.
over and over and over. But even with all how I felt physically, which was being afraid, which
Right.
was my body was betraying me
Right.
in that as I got scared, I my, that's the way I'm wired. I don't, I get,
Yeah.
I tend to, to be, a nervous Nelly. It's
Right.
just the way I've tried to, it's the way I am. And it
Mm-hmm.
is a battle.
Yes.
And, but even so, even if that's the way somebody out there is wired, you still have a choice
Right.
to believe and to think a certain way, to say, nope, even though my stomach is in knots, even though I just threw up my lunch, which
Right.
happened a few times, even though I'm hysterical crying, even though my knees are knocking together and I could not stand up, I needed to sit or else I was going to faint. Even though, didn't matter. In my heart of hearts, I said, but God
Right.
promised that he was going to live.
Right.
And you hold on to that. So
Mm.
that's what it looks like,
Okay.
a choice.
I like that choice. And I think some people are going to hear that and they're probably in that 2 a.m. season where they're just, am I going to break tonight? Can I wake up tomorrow? And I think they'll choose to go another day after hearing your story.
You know something? The Bible says, when I am afraid, I will trust in thee.
Mm-hmm.
When it doesn't say if I am, it says when
When?
I am afraid. So God, by his Holy Spirit, already put that in the Word of God, knowing full well that we we are going to be in situations that are going to be out of our control,
Right.
in situations where it looks like death is definitely imminent, it's going to happen any second now. He knew. So it is written explicitly that way. When I am afraid, when
Right.
you are afraid, we could choose to trust in him.
Right. Great. Yes, agreed.
It's a great scripture.
It is. So now I want to talk about your caregiver identity. So my husband kind of fills this role between my mental illness and the stroke. This was your big part in this. So, in your opinion, when does a spouse become a full time caregiver for
On the altar,
on the altar?
on
Okay.
the wedding day.
Okay. Even though some
Be-
people don't realize that.
I'm sorry, but you stand before God on that altar on your wedding day, when you put this ring on your finger, he puts the ring on my finger and vice versa. You promise, you take an oath in sickness and in health.
Right.
You pray to God that that day will never come.
Right.
But no one
It could.
knows. And
Right.
chances are many of you will just slide through life, and the worst thing that'll happen to you is you'll have a migraine headache one day, and that's it. Good for you. I'm glad. Great. But like Denise, like myself,
Right.
right now I'm
And
sitting in a wheelchair.
well,
I have a stress fracture in my hip, and I'm on complete chair rest until the bone heals. And right now, Richie's taking care of me.
okay.
I could still do some things. Thank God I'm not completely bedridden, and God forbid,
Right.
that would ever happen. But when does that role start? That role starts the day you commit your life to one another.
Right.
If you are not ready for that, if you say you can't do that, then marriage is not for you, buddy. Sorry. You literally are laying down your life
Right.
one for another. The Bible says, as Christ, husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church. Jesus laid his life. Jesus, Jesus, what gets me every time, do you realize that when he was crucified, I picture it as this. He put himself, that cross was on the ground
Right.
before he was nailed,
Nailed
right?
to it.
I pictured like the way the movie The Passion of the Christ that Mel Gibson
Gibson. Mm-hmm.
directed.
Yes.
He did it perfectly because he had the actor crawl and actually put himself on the
Wow.
cross
You're giving me
before
chills.
and laid his arms like this. No
Yeah.
one had to wrestle him
Right.
because the word God says Jesus
Right.
willingly laid his
Right.
life down. And it's and then in the New Testament, in the epistles, it says that husbands should love their wives as Christ loved.
Right.
That
Loves the
means
church.
you
Yeah.
lay your life down.
Right.
So that's the ultimate caregiving, I
Right.
think, is when are you lay your life down for your spouse.
Right. Agreed. That is, and through your story, I've even like had my eyes open because again, I ask some of these questions because I believe, there's wisdom in each person that goes through something that they can share. And I've learned things through your story. And I'm thankful for that. So when we talk about caregiver, Nanette, so who takes care of the caregiver when these things are happening? Who is taking care of you?
The dog. No.
Ah,
The cool thing to say is God's taking care of me.
right,
That goes without saying though. But who took care of me? Um, you know, God is a spirit, but his hands, his arms and hands are here on earth through people.
right.
And he blessed me and Richie with three amazing, wonderful children.
Okay,
And they all had their part in holding up Mama.
okay,
They all had a and just and I hope I expressed that adequately in my story, where there were times when the boy the boys couldn't be there, or Danielle couldn't be there, and there were times when I was all alone,
right,
and 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 it hurt and it was terrifying. But if I hadn't gone through those nights or days alone, then I wouldn't be as strong as I am today.
right,
I could say that now. But who takes care of the caregiver? I was blessed enough to have children. Um, I you know,
And they were adult children at the time.
adult children. They at the
Okay.
time they were all. My youngest was in his late 20s, and the other two were in their mid 30s.
Okay.
So yeah, they each had a role in and a turn in helping me out. Absolutely, I
Thank
could have
God.
never done it without them.
Thank God for them.
Thank God for
And
them is right.
yes. So in your opinion, what was harder to deal with? The emergency or the long drawn out survival that took place? Which one was harder, or were they the same? What do you think?
Can I call a tie?
You can call a tie.
They were both horrific. They were both
Both.
very difficult. They were both indescribable. They were both
You did a good job describing them in the book.
right now. When you're sitting at your desk under an unction to write is a different thing than
Right.
sitting, trying to look in a little little dot on your computer screen to talk to you. It's a different
Right.
story, but they were both extremely challenging, and there's no contest. They were both terrible.
Okay. Did you ever feel invisible in your own exhaustion that you were going through? Like, did you
Yes.
just, you did, you separated, like you just, okay.
Wait. Separated
Well, I
or
mean, like, you just, like, separated from the presence of Nanette because everything that was going on, you suddenly were invisible as a person in a sense because you were now living trauma day by day.
there would by some I could answer you this way, in the sense that I felt invisible.
Okay, go ahead.
Sometimes, not always, but the pain the pain of watching the person you love with every cell in your body,
Right.
every all the essence of who you are, of watching that person go through agony and being on the threshold of death,
Mm-hmm.
and the imminent probability that they are going to be taken out of your life and you're going to be left without them,
Right.
I feel, in my opinion, is a form of torture.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. That is.
That was torture. So the agony that I was feeling was secondary, because of course his solving his issue, his medical problems and everything,
Mm-hmm.
that was, of course, was paramount. That was, he
Right.
came first.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
I'm hesitating and stammering because I don't want to sound like I'm selfish,
Okay.
but
It
you
doesn't
do
sound that way,
in the
but
moment. And I do remember feeling like I did feel invisible sometimes. Sometimes, like I remember sitting there or standing there, like thinking, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
right.
I'm going to
You're
die,"
gonna die.
because
Yeah.
my heart was breaking
Oh my God.
so so. Um, it felt so real that I was
Right.
about to die. And I think I touched on that in the beginning of the book
Mm-hmm.
when I was watching. I'm like, okay, you might as well just take us both, because
Yes.
I can't live without him, and
Right.
I can't live through this. This is too much. This
Right.
is just too much. And so I like, do you, Lord, do you see me? Because no one else sees me, because all eyes are on him, and I'm about to go down. I'm
Right.
about to just check out of here. I'm done. No,
Right.
I really felt like I was going to die.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
So in a sense, it's like a feeling of being invisible.
right.
But then on the flip side of that, there were moments when I had kind people that I believe God sent along my way who would just like would like a nurse or a friend came from out of town and
Mm-hmm.
are you okay? Nanette, are you okay? How are you doing? How are you? They would grab my face. How are you doing?
Oh,
And that was the opposite, where
right.
I was
God
definitely
sent.
seen and definitely
Good.
comforted.
Right. Okay.
Didn't happen all that often, but
There were moments that you
there were
remember, so
moments.
that's good.
Thankfully.
So in reflection, we're heading toward the end of my question. So if
Hmm.
you could speak to the 16-year-old girl on that subway train, what would you tell her about the life she has ahead of her?
Get off at the next stop.
Ah,
Just kidding. Just a
mm,
little levity. What would I tell her?
yes.
Buckle up. It's going to be a long ride, baby.
Okay. Yeah.
It's going to be tough, but you
Right.
love him
Right.
and he loves you.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
going to be worth it. And the children and grandchildren that are going to come out of that, yeah, go for it. Keep
Okay.
going. It'll be worth it.
Great. Look like, Nanette, to love someone, not just in sickness and health, but through the things you went through trauma, through the machines in the hospital room, through the unanswered prayers that were happening. What does it look like to love someone like that? It's not just sickness and health. It's this is happening, that happened, this is happening now. Um, I'm praying, but I'm not getting answers. Um, what does that look like?
It at times it could look incredibly frustrating
Mm,
and even depressing.
right.
And that's when draw on, you take your imaginary spiritual cup and
Mm-hmm.
you dip into the deep spiritual well that's in your heart,
Right.
and you draw on that living water that
Right.
Christ promised that is inside of us,
Right.
and you you rely on that,
Mm-hmm.
you lean into that and draw on that and watch him put the fruits of the spirit on display for you, and you realize, oh my gosh, all of a sudden the most impatient person in the world, this the lady right here, all of a sudden is incredibly long suffering and patient, sitting at a bedside for 14, 16 hours at a time. And love looks like that.
Okay.
Or all of a sudden, at the time when he was awake and he was feeling incredibly sad and discouraged and depressed at what he found, the state he found himself in, to
Right.
his shock and surprise. And you have I had a deep dip into the well, and I found encouragement,
Okay.
and then be encouraging and giving him these gems that would just drop in my spirit from the Father, from the Lord, and not taking my credit. It
Right.
was not me, and encourage him.
Right.
And then what does love look like when well meaning but not so benevolent medical personnel come in and start? I don't want to give too much of the story away. And there were times when, uh, you know, they would do or say not the most productive or beneficial things.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Mama Bear rose up inside of me, and I had to protect him.
Right.
I
Yeah.
had to, because he was incredibly fragile, weak, and vulnerable, and in no state to defend
Right.
himself.
Right.
And yeah, so love kind of looks like all of those: patience,
Okay.
encouragement, protection, care, selflessness, me dying to my own needs in that
Right.
moment.
Right.
It's like when you have a baby and they spike a fever in the middle of the night. You have an
Mhm.
infant. You're bone tired, and you just worked a long day, and you need your
Right.
sleep. And that baby is screaming. What do? Do you lay in bed and say, "I'm sorry, I need my sleep.
No.
I'm going to take you to the caregiver in the morning, but I need my."
No.
No,
No.
you get up, and
Right.
you, out of your love for your child, you do everything in your power to get that fever lowered, and you hug that baby, you comfort that baby, you do whatever it is to get that job done in the moment.
Right.
It is no different if he was my baby. He
Mhm.
was 50 something years old at that time. Like
Right.
I even said that to it. That's my baby.
Yes.
I'm responsible for him.
Right.
I take care of him.
Right.
I'm calling the shots here. And that's love.
Right.
Standing toe to toe with whoever to
Right.
protect the
Yes.
person that is most dear in your heart
Right.
when he can't do it for himself.
Right.
That's love.
That is that is a very strong love. Thank God he had you there to fight for him when he couldn't fight for himself. So my last question, after everything you've been through, illness, traumas, survival between you getting through this and your husband surviving, what does the word Unshaken Voices, my book Unshaken, I try to just find how each person I have on my show now feels. What does unshaken mean to you after what you've been through?
And
And there's no right or wrong
I,
answer.
before I answer that, I want to say you did a wonderful, phenomenal job writing your book.
Thank you.
You are one courageous, brave young woman that I am very proud to know and
Thank you.
watch grow from when you were 4 years old. I first met you
Hmm.
to today, and your book is going to do great and mighty things, young girl.
Aw,
Tell you
thank
that
you.
much.
Thank
So
you.
I could tell you what unshaken does not mean.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you're not going to feel broken.
Right.
You can.
Agreed.
It's okay to feel broken.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you're not going to cry
Right.
and sob and weep and even throw a tantrum or two
Right.
because you're so angry at what has been handed over to you in the moment.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're always going to have the right words to say in prayer.
Right.
Sometimes the best prayer in the world is, God help.
Yeah. Two words.
Help. I
One word.
I can't
Mm-hmm.
do this.
Mm-hmm.
Just help. But unshaken to me is like, I'll pull a section from the book where um, Delia, and she makes sure every day she puts her makeup on and does her hair,
Right.
because as we Italian girls, God forbid we live. New York Italian women never leave the house without doing their face, you know?
Ah,
And I knew if Richie woke up and saw this face with no mascara, no makeup, and I looked as haggard as I felt, he would think, oh no, I
right.
must really be, really, I'm going to die because look at my wife. So I made sure I looked the way he was used to, the way my makeup was on, my hair was done. I was dressed nicely as I could
Right.
for his sake.
Mhm.
And it was showing that I was making the choice to keep going, to keep believing, even when I felt like my heart was breaking in a million pieces or was about to explode,
Right.
because that's how every day, that's how my heart felt. So to
Right.
me, unshaken is is making those choices to
Right.
just to to just keep going
Right.
and to keep believing, even when it looked like the answer was never going to come. And let me tell you, there were times in this story and the story that follows at the end
Right.
that it was just too much. It was never, ever, the light at the end of the tunnel was never going to come.
You just gave me chills again. There's
But
so many times you've given me chills.
if God gives you, now that's not to say that we're all, no one's ever going to die. Sometimes people die.
Right.
And you know what? I hate to say it. That's okay.
Right.
That's okay. It's remember, at the end of the day, not my will,
Right.
but thy will be done, okay?
Right.
So that's number 1.
Right.
Not everybody. I had somebody, a friend. It was an actually it was a neighbor from back in Staten Island. The 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 um, the gentleman went into the hospital with a heart problem, and the children, the adult children who are
Mhm.
around your
Yeah.
age and my
Right.
children's ages,
Okay.
who grew up with Danielle and Matthew,
Mhm.
they even said, "Oh, Daddy is having this problem just like Richie had.
Ah.
So we're going to do just like Nanette did, and he's going to be all better."
Oh.
The next day, he passed away.
Oh no.
I'm sorry to say, but like what's the difference was God gave me a promise.
Right.
He said, "Speak life,
Right.
and he will be well."
Right.
It didn't happen instantaneous. It didn't
Mhm.
happen a week later. It didn't happen a month later.
Right.
But the man is in the next room. I can tell you that. If I knock on the wall, he'll say, "Hi, Denise." That's what matters. Are we
Ah.
going to be here indefinitely? No.
Right.
We're all going to pass. We're all going to be, the 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 biggest, most important point of this whole thing is his will, not ours. Even Jesus said that.
Right.
Nevertheless, Father, your will be done, not mine.
Right.
So that's what, if God gives you a promise,
Right.
if he promised you something, no matter what the enemy is throwing at you, does not matter. You hold on to that promise,
Right.
and he will see you through until it is
Right.
manifested.
No
I
matter
believe that
what.
with all my heart.
Mhm.
And that's what it means to be unshaken.
Right. I find it amazing that you put makeup on every day and did your hair, and for the reason, should he wake up and
He would
see
know.
me
Oh, he would
in
know.
a mess. That is
He would
amazing,
know.
because even in your most traumatic moments, you were still thinking of him in that way. And how can I make myself look like normal
Normal.
me?
Look
Yeah,
normal so
normal
that
me.
I
So
remember a
that,
time when he had he had a heart attack, the first heart attack he had, and his sister came in from Long Island all the way to Pennsylvania to see him, and she was hysterical crying, and her face was, she had mascara
oh
dripping, and the
boy.
whole. And I grabbed the whole. I said, "Stop right there. You're not going in to see him."
Right,
Why not? Why not? I said, because if he takes one look at that face, he's
right,
going to know he's up the creek with no paddle.
right.
Go into the bathroom, go wash your face. If you have anything to repair that face in your bag, go do it. I will wait for you, and then
Aw,
I'll take you in to go see your brother. But right now, you're not allowed to go in there
right,
because he will know something is, he will know he's very, very sick. And
right,
I need him to be full of hope,
right.
because without hope,
What do we have?
we don't have anything.
Right. Okay.
Hope is just as important, if not as, more important than faith.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, that was an amazing time. I'm so happy and thankful for all of your answers. It's been a pleasure getting to hear the hope that you are bringing through your story to other people. And like you said, everybody's story ends differently. We don't know,
Hmm.
but they have this story to lean on and maybe relate to, and it'll resonate with them. And the fact that you're still standing and living the way you are today, and you didn't give up on your faith,
No,
because some people lose their faith through times of trauma,
they
and
get
it's,
mad at God,
yes,
and
and
that's the
you did
worst
not.
person. That's you. You don't want to do that, folks.
Right. Yeah, you
He's
don't
the,
want to give
you
up on
need
him.
him.
Yes. So, okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. And I am so happy to have you. And again, people can reach out to you. This is her book again, The Tin Man's Wife. How do you say your middle name? Or is that your maiden name? How do you
That's
say
my
your
maiden name,
Yes. How do you say
Nangano.
Nangano?
Nanette Nangano Ares.
Okay. I was gonna say it, and then I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna say it right.
Nangano. Hmm.
Okay. You can they can get your book on Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon.
And
Hmm.
you have an ebook, and you have the paperback. Do you have
Paperback and
hardcover?
hardcover.
Paperback and hardcover.
We're going to be working on an audio book in the future.
Okay.
I don't know when that will
Okay.
come out, but it's
Mhm.
something that I'm looking into.
Okay. I went through the whole process of doing that. Ended
Hmm.
up, I tried hiring someone, just so you know, through ACX are the people who handle that through
Right.
Amazon. There are fake people on there. I hired someone first, paid them, and they still got paid and walked away, and I did not have the book.
Oh, that's
They
terrible.
they told
I'm
me
sorry to hear that.
things happen for a reason. I ended up reading the book in the end, which people say is better, it's authentic. It was a lot of work because everything has to be critiqued and so on and so forth. But if you go and do this, one thing I can tell you is they told me, make sure to call that person who you choose to read your book and make sure that their voice matches the voice in the sample that you're reading. It's just messed up. They're like, oh, you should pursue something with them outside. They're probably gone. How am I even going to find them? They said we could give you their information. It was probably fake, you know.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind going forward, that that does happen. And, maybe you'll want to read it yourself. I don't know. But
That's what I was going to do,
okay.
because you can't mess with this Brooklyn accent. It's about a Brooklyn girl, so
Right.
we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. I hope it goes well. And say hi to Richie. And
Thank you.
And
Sends his love.
I will continue to pray for you guys and
Same
the
here.
journey going forward.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Have
Thank you
a
so
nice
much.
day. Take
You
care.
too, honey.
Bye.
Bye-bye.